store, man.
Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all the sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
In what looks to be our last episode for 2022, we're going to address the one thing we haven't addressed, our 5-year anniversary. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe. Of course, with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
Hey.
You know, in all the hustle, all the craziness,
Yes.
we missed our 5-year anniversary.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
You know what's funny is I forgot words I was going to use while talking about it. It's just a forgetful thing.
Right. It is kind of nuts because when that time kind of rolled around, we were busy talking about stuff. And yeah.
Yep, August came and went without much fanfare.
Right. Yes, we had was Andor going on at that point? I don't know. There was stuff going on at that point. But you know how it goes.
I mean, we were definitely in the middle of Kenobi and
right.
And Andor.
Yep.
Probably talking Tales of the Jedi.
Right. So, understandable that we forgot about ourselves, right? Because there was plenty of stuff to talk about.
Plenty of Star Wars to talk about.
Right.
But since they're making that tough, we might as well talk about us.
Exactly. I love it.
So it's been 5 years. There's been a lot of changes, right?
There's been a lot of changes. Yeah.
You know, we've adjusted our format, the way we do things.
Yep.
Our sounds are different. Intros are different.
Yeah.
It's been a ride.
It's been interesting. One thing you gotta say is we've been doing this pretty consistently the whole time. So
yeah, I mean, even if the show releases aren't done in a timely manner sometimes,
right?
Because we record the same time every week.
That's right.
But the problem is we record midweek. Then we got the weekend.
Right.
And I don't know about weekends for you, Doug, but weekends for me get absolutely nuts.
Yes. Absolutely.
So shit happens.
Yeah.
The good thing is, right, like we're really good about our time sensitive stuff, but
right.
Everything else I'm kind of like, it's all right. It's evergreen.
Exactly. Hey, Star Wars is evergreen.
All of it's evergreen, really.
Yes.
The only thing that's usually not is like, holy crap, did you see this?
Yeah. And sometimes it's almost better to let some of that stuff play out a little bit before you kind of
before you sound like a jackass.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely sometimes where there's things that we talked about jumping right on and we don't.
Right.
And then we're like, wow, glad we didn't do that. That was a misconception.
Right.
Boy, do we look like smart people for being busy.
Right.
But one thing that was really going on when we kicked this show off, right? Like when we started, we were in the absolute ramp up for The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Excitement was high. Everyone was, still talking about what they loved and what they didn't love about The Force Awakens.
And then Rogue One.
And Rogue One, right?
Yeah.
Rogue One was
right.
Everybody was happy about Rogue One, so that got everybody excited, right? Like because The Force Awakens, a lot of people, myself included, were like, "No, it just really felt like
a retread of
A
New Hope."
I don't really want to say it's a repeat of New Hope. It hit on all the tonal things of A New Hope.
Right.
But it's not the same story. I disagree with that 100%.
No, I said retread, but
it's a retread. Yeah, it's for sure a retread.
So, which fine, I get it, but there's a formula, That didn't bother me so much.
Right. I really feel like, though, like calling it a retread, I think is a little off, because the real focal point of The Force Awakens was Kylo Ren for most of the movie. So you're focused on the antagonist.
Right.
You know, so that was different. And that had a little bit of a different feel to it. So, but it's like, well, you know, we give them a pass, you know, they're kicking it back off, right?
Exactly.
So, of course they want to hit on the same notes.
Yeah. That I said over and over, and I still, to this day, feel that movie was a good launch pad to get Star Wars back in the theaters. So, you know, I thought it was good for that, for the sequels. And then, you know, Rogue One comes along, and, you know, we were riding high off of that. It was like, ooh, that was good, you know? So,
Well, think about this, right? Like, we like to use music comparisons.
sure.
So the classic rock bands that we like, right? Every time they come out with a new album, the first single that they release and put out there always got you going, wow, they're getting back to their roots. This sounds like they did back in '89, man. Like,
Right.
so you're like, yeah. And then the album comes out, and that's the only song that sounds like that.
Exactly. That is
They
true.
did that for a reason.
Yes. Yep. This is the one we're going to use to draw in all the old fans. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Metallica just did it, right? They just put out a new single. Everybody's like, oh man, it sounds just like Kill 'Em All. This one does.
Nice.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, I'm feeling Hit the Lights, man. Uh-huh.
That's funny.
I mean, maybe they are doing it. I doubt it, but
Right.
it's not really their thing. They like to evolve, which is fine.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
You know, and you and I were both ready for Star Wars to go into a new era, right? We want the familiar, but we were ready to go into new territory.
Sure.
You don't want to just do the same thing over and over again. Yeah, you want it to feel like the old thing, but you want to go new places. You want to do new things.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi did that.
Right. So okay. This is where we're going to, like, okay. Yeah, we were ramping up to The Last Jedi.
Yes.
And, you know, we had all kinds of, you know, by the time we started, there was trailers, and we had all kinds of speculation as to what was going to go on, and, you know, then we saw it, and
A whole lot of very, very wrong predictions.
right. Yes. Lots of those. And then, so it was a very divisive movie. What would you call it?
Even amongst us.
Yeah. So I guess what we're going to do here, right, is we're going to take a look at it again, right? Just a little bit. And then see how we feel about it 5 years later.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna look at it with the eyes of what we were looking at then
Right.
and how we feel now.
Right.
How that evolved over the years. And, you know, much like the show. I mean, kind of doing the same thing. It's really, really special and unique, I think, that our beginning coincides with the release of The Last Jedi. And, you know, we went through a lot of growth and a lot of changes, and so did our opinions of the film. So
Right.
they just really coincide.
True.
So, of course, you remember that first episode, right? After seeing The Last Jedi.
Well, I now tell me what you're talking about.
Just our bewilderment, right? Like,
yes. I remember exactly what I said to my nephew after we walked out of the theater. And that is, I am not sure how I feel about that.
Exactly. And I felt the exact same way. You know, I got in the car and I'm like, I felt weird. Like,
Right.
not this usual excitement.
Exactly.
Not not feeling like I saw a bad thing,
No,
but-
not at all.
feeling weird because I definitely saw a very different thing.
Yes.
The flow was weird. It was just, there were a lot of strange things.
Yeah. So this is my current self looking back on it. I feel as though now this is please don't try and pin the, you just want your nostalgia for Star Wars here. Part of me feels like we've talked about this too. We needed a setup for The Last Jedi. Right? When it comes to the Luke and Kylo Ren backstory, that really needed to be told prior to this film, in my opinion. It's something that getting it in those flashbacks didn't do the backstory enough justice, in my opinion.
Well,
If that makes sense.
let's think about this. They did a thing, right? Luke's hold away on this island, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of The Force Awakens, you see him finally. You've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, all movie. Yeah,
You see Luke Skywalker, and then it's over.
right.
That's it. So then you're left waiting, wanting that character from your childhood, right? Luke Skywalker.
Absolutely. My case, no doubt, for sure.
And you get here, and what's the first thing Luke Skywalker does?
Yeah.
He takes that lightsaber and he just chucks it away behind him.
Yes.
Storms off.
Which was weird. Yes.
And you're left like, what?
I remember that moment in the film, in the theater. Luke chucks the lightsaber over his shoulder, and the crowd had this. There was a lot of people were chuckling, right? Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like funny, but why? Why is Luke doing that? You know what I mean? It was like,
I mean, I will say this. I laughed, right? Like,
sure.
he did it. I laughed. I didn't know where it was going.
Right.
You know, he was hiding away for a reason. So that was kind of funny.
You have to remember too, right? Just came out of the whole scene with Poe and the, General Hugs thing and all that, and the, that whole opening sequence. It was like, that was weird. So it's like the movie got off to an awkwardly weird start, including the Luke scene.
Yes. It got off to am I watching a Star Wars parody?
It almost felt that way in some
Start.
ways. Yes. So
Yeah,
all of that being said, it felt like it was trying too hard for that quote unquote Star Wars humor, that dry humor, right?
Right.
And when it comes to like what I was referring to, the main Luke and Kylo plot was like, you needed backstory for it, so we did these flashbacks, but we did I will say, I did like how the 3 times we were shown this same scene, it was from basically 3 different points of view, right? Except all of that could have been fleshed out in a prior story, which would have made more sense to me. I cannot fathom why. I don't know. There was so much. It didn't have the impact. Put it that way. It didn't have the impact that I think they were going for.
right.
Without having prior work,
Right. I do want to take the things that we've said right now
Yeah.
before we go too far, and just kind of put it into context of the time, right? So,
Yeah.
film comes out, we see this stuff, we're seeing this, but we're having these feelings, but we're not really expressing these feelings,
True.
right? Because enter the most turbulent time I can remember in Star Wars history
Ever.
ever.
Yes.
Fandom literally fractured along lines, man.
Yes, this is true.
And here we're like, well, this is not good, right? Like,
Right. For sure.
we tried to be very, very diplomatic and almost like fought our own feelings
Yes.
about the film
Mm-hmm.
and tried to force ourselves to look at it from different perspectives, different angles, talked ourselves into, look, the next film is going to clear this out. It's going to clear the air on all this. It's going to make it all make sense.
Yeah.
You know, all these things that we're confused about, we're going to get more story that backfills this and makes this all make sense.
Right.
Other than just like, you know, all of a sudden he decides to kill his nephew, and then his nephew
Right.
like what is going on here? Why does Luke Skywalker make this drastic decision? Because he saw darkness in him. Dude, he could not see. He could not see the good in Vader.
Right.
You know, so, like I said, here we are. We're in this fracture in fandom, and just like I said, we almost felt, I mean, backed up against a wall that like we can't say anything bad about it because look, we want to be a welcome place for all Star Wars fans.
Exactly, for sure. But
And we still feel that way. We still want
Yes.
to be a welcome place for all Star Wars fans.
I think a good way to put it would be we almost felt obligated to ignore our true feelings sometimes.
Yes. If you spoke your true feelings, that meant that you thought no one else could like it.
Right.
And
that
that's
just
where
wasn't the
that
case.
got dumb.
Yeah.
You know, like if you did not like The Last Jedi, you were shitting on someone else's fandom.
That's the way a lot of people felt about it. Yeah.
And we didn't want to go that route. Like, we're not trying to bash anyone else's fandom. We're you can love it. That's fine.
Yep.
You know, you're welcome to love Star Wars your way, your own way. And you're welcome here to criticize Star Wars, any Star Wars. You could criticize Star Wars we love.
Sure.
And that's fine. That's your opinion. That's the way we always felt, but we felt we couldn't talk about the way we really felt about it.
Exactly.
So we tried walking that line. And I felt like in the early days, we really kind of suffered from that, struggled with that.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I mean, when you really look at it, Joe, I mean, we have friends who just dog on Star Wars, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they know we love it, so they, you know, hate on it because they know we love it, kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's always happened, and every Star Wars fan knows what that's like. But it's like, if we can get past that kind of stuff and still be friends with these people, how is it that Star Wars fans, having so much in common, were at each other's throats online because of this movie, right? That's what I could never understand. You know, it was, it made me sick to my stomach sometimes, to be honest about it, you know?
I mean, and like watching it, there was people in Star Wars fandom that I've known and followed for a long time, right?
Yeah.
That absolutely adored The Last Jedi.
Right.
But I saw a shift in them where they started hating on the thing that they've loved on for years and years and years prior to The Last Jedi. Like, literally turned on the reason why they went to see that film in the first place, because of their love of Star Wars over the years.
Right.
And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
You have now reached a point where you are spewing absolute vitriol about a thing that you've had passion about for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
I mean,
Like-
I guess a way to put it would be, look, I've always loved Star Wars, but now this one trumps the rest of them to the nth degree. So, it is that much better. Doesn't mean you have to like the other ones less, right? If that's the way you really felt about it. But
And like this is a weird way to celebrate a 5-year anniversary, right? Because I mean, we actually entered a place that we were like, dude, do we really want to do this anymore?
that's true. It's true. We felt that way.
Because we don't feel like we can talk about what we want to talk about.
Right.
2, we're watching the Star Wars podcast community that literally pushed us to do this ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
to try and join this community, because we've been listening to all these shows for so many years,
Right.
and we're watching these shows separate from each other,
Oh,
line in the
yeah.
sand, battle lines, man. Like,
Yes.
and they're going at each other, trying to take each other down.
Trying to take each other down is an understatement.
It's an understatement. It was all out nasty warfare
Yes.
among Star Wars podcasts. I'm like, what the hell?
This is supposed to be fun. Yeah.
Yes, like literally people on that side and people on this side used to work together, and they're literally the reason why we're here.
Right. Yeah. And now they're trying to take each other. Well, yes. I say take each other out. A lot of times it was, lopsided one way or the other. And, I could not understand it. So, and being as new into this as we were, it was hard to navigate. We'll just say.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, we got to stay the hell out of this.
Yep.
Like, because when we came in, like we were right away starting to interact with other podcasters
Right.
and joining different podcast communities and trying to start talking in there and like, look, this is fun. This is a good group. Like, and then that happened.
Yeah.
And we went real recluse.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
So
for sure.
those of us that have been following those of you that have been following us all these years, thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of our hearts.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a ride. It's been a ride, and you've been through some of the most turbulent times with us.
Yeah.
I feel like it's starting to die down a little. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
there might be some light at the end of the tunnel, and we might all be able to. I don't think Star Wars fandom's ever going to be friends again.
Right.
I think we're well past that.
But I will say this, with there being a pause in movie releases and most things that have come out on Disney Plus being pretty universally loved,
Right.
I would say things are heading in a better direction. Yeah, for sure.
I did notice with Andor, like it felt like people were getting antsy about the quasi ceasefire going on, and like started grasping for something to take shots at the other side about.
Oh yeah.
And it never really stuck.
Right.
It never really stuck. But during Andor, I really saw a lot of that, like trying to grasp onto these little things and try to throw shots. Like, wow, are you just getting that restless that we're not hating on each other every day? Like,
It
I
could
don't-
be.
you love that. We love this. Some of us love all of it.
Right.
Because we go back to The Last Jedi a bit. Like, we ended up honing in on the things that we liked and the things that we disliked.
Yeah.
And really made it to where I wouldn't say we're indifferent about the film, because that's not true.
Right. Yeah, we have our
Um,
opinions.
But we reached a point where we're like, look, this is the way Star Wars went.
Yep.
It's done.
Exactly. You're not changing it now.
You're not changing it now. And when the movement got started, oh, they're gonna retcon all of it. Like, no, don't.
All of that stuff. Oh my gosh.
Don't. It's so bad. The world between worlds thing, they're gonna go back and they're just gonna pull Luke back and it's over.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You can't undo without making it messier.
Right.
And without stirring up the hornet's nest of fandom again to a point where like it's gonna end up not being fun to be in anymore.
Right.
And yeah, we like I said, we found our positives. We've honed in a little bit on our negatives finally.
Yeah.
Actually got to clear the air about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I
held on a little longer than you did.
right. But I don't know. It's the beautiful thing about Star Wars, right? There's so much rich content there that even if there's something that you're not the biggest fan of, you still have everything else that was there that you love. So, there's no, they can't all be home runs every time, right?
No. And, I think what really did good for us is we started just talking Star Wars. We just steered clear of The Last Jedi.
Right.
For a while. We just let it go.
Yep.
And we started just talking Star Wars. And we got to a point where there was a lot of things where we were disagreeing on. I felt one way, you felt another, and we were just discussing it.
Right.
And there was kind of like an aha moment, right? Like, we're like, you know what? Screw that. Here you and I are disagreeing on Star Wars on a relatively regular basis now, all of a sudden.
Right.
And we're having fun. We're having a
True.
great time. We're not calling each other names. We're not doing anything dumb like that. But we disagree.
Yep.
So we're like, screw it. We can disagree with other people. If we can disagree with each other and still do this every week, we can disagree with other people.
Exactly.
And if they want to walk away because of that, because they can't handle the disagreement, fine. That's not what this is about. We're supposed to be able to disagree.
Yep.
And the disagreement is really what makes it fun. And we don't talk to like persuade the other that they're wrong.
No,
You know,
I
like-
mean that's not a fruitful conversation if
No.
that's what your goal is. That's
This is Star Wars, not politics.
exactly.
And
That's not very fruitful either. I'm just gonna say. Usually,
what, politics?
yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this is Star Wars, not politics, and I don't want to hear the argument because this is the thing now, right? Like, oh, there's tons of politics in Star Wars.
Right.
Yes, that's part of the discussion.
Yeah,
But Star Wars isn't politics.
exactly. It's a galaxy far, far away politics.
Yeah, much different.
Yes. But yeah,
So,
good stuff. The beauty
wow,
part
this is
was
going a different direction than I thought it was.
yeah, me too. But I like it. The beauty part of all this, though, is with all of that being said about The Last Jedi, what was it, 5 months later, 6 months later, they followed it up with Solo. So that was like even better because that just piled on for all of that kind of talk. So,
Yeah, but I heard it was a good summer movie.
it was. It was. I'll just say that. It was.
It was good for this summer.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's also what's interesting is like, as if we didn't have, one grenade land over here with The Last Jedi, we went and had Solo.
Right.
And then there's another one. And this rift just tears open even further.
Uh-huh.
We picked a hell of a time to start podcasting.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And I'm saying this is going a completely different way, but I don't think we've really talked about our history much and like how that really came to be and how we kept going. We almost didn't.
Well, what part are you talking about? Like,
just how our start went, like,
right?
And how we felt about it, really, like, because we weren't really that happy about it. like maybe this is the wrong place to be.
Oh yeah. That's true.
I mean, we were happy about our conversations, but you know what? It was funny because we were happier about our conversations, more so about our off mic prior to, figuring out what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Those were more fun than actually recording the show because we just felt like we couldn't say anything.
That's true.
Like we got to tiptoe around this so we don't piss these people off. We got to tiptoe around that so we don't piss those people off.
Right. In the end, that doesn't matter. Those who want to listen are going to listen, and
right.
that's good. That's the way it should be. I mean, everybody chooses the things that they pay attention to and listen to for themselves, and that's how it should be. You like what you like, and that's cool. So,
in all honesty, like the way we were doing it, we probably just sounded like an apologist for the other side to this. Like everyone just hated us because like we just sound like an apologist to the other side.
That's probably accurate. Yes. Now, I remember exactly what you're talking about because you try to make a point that's going to start to, it might start to upset somebody that you're thinking this ahead of time, and it's like, okay, how do I say it delicately so it doesn't come across that way? It's like, that was rough. Yeah, so
it was rough. Yeah, and then looking back on it, I mean, neither one of us are good at it.
Right.
We should have just said what we wanted to say because we weren't good at trying to tiptoe.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we were trying to like tiptoe through a room with wooden shoes on, like.
Yeah. That didn't work out so good, but hey, here we are now.
Things settled down. Here we are.
Yep.
Having a blast every single week. So, anything more on The Last Jedi? Do we want to?
No, I was actually originally gonna like start dissecting how I felt about the movie, but I don't know. In general, overall broad statement. How do you feel about it today as opposed to 5 years ago?
Oh, as opposed to 5 years ago. Well, I mean, I feel content with it now. Like, I think is the best way to put it. Because back then I didn't know how I felt because I was trying to do all these things, and over to really the last, I'd say 2 years, I sat down and watched it a couple times, and doing full rewatches.
Mm-hmm.
And I still felt the same way I felt leaving theaters, right? Like man, that felt weird.
Yes.
Like it felt like a little bit of disruption, and I'll say this: there's plenty of things I love in the film. Like I think that throne room lightsaber battle is just fantastic.
Sure.
I think a lot of the visuals with like even in the beginning when Poe's making all those comments and stuff, but then he fires up his X-wing and he goes blasting the cannons off the dreadnought there.
Right. Yeah.
Like, wow, this is great. There's a lot of great things in the film.
Yes, totally.
So I feel like I'm content now. Like I feel like it is disruptive. It really does disrupt the flow when I'm watching the series as a whole. But I don't feel like when I started to really express my feelings like that, it was a detriment to Star Wars as a whole. I don't feel that way anymore.
No, I agree with that statement. Yeah.
I guess it was really like, I think what really solidified that was The Rise of Skywalker, because I feel like that film's disruptive.
Sure.
I feel like the only one that felt in place in the whole thing was The Force Awakens.
Right.
The whole sequel trilogy, because, you got to The Rise of Skywalker and the pacing just was stupid.
Yeah.
It's just nonstop, like 100 miles an hour. And yeah, it didn't feel any better than The Last Jedi.
No.
So yeah, I am at a point where I'm just like, look, Disney really dropped the ball with the sequel trilogy.
Yes. As a whole.
And I'm not saying that, this story's wrong, that story's wrong. No. These three films did not go together.
Right.
At all.
Right. So I get what you're saying. Right. You're not going to pick one of the three over the rest to say this is the direction they all should have gone, kind of thing.
Right.
No, I agree with that. Go ahead.
Because none of the three had it 100% right.
Right. There's that.
They all had something that was good.
Yes.
But they were all so different from each other that the block as a whole is just a mess.
Yes.
It's not cohesive. The story doesn't flow. I just
yeah.
If they would have had one of these guys do all of them,
right,
or at least work together,
right,
because it's obvious they didn't do that.
Exactly. I think
they needed a showrunner.
Yes.
And I hate using this because, man, I don't feel like Marvel gets it 100% right either.
Yeah, I know.
But they needed someone like Kevin Feige.
Yep, totally.
Someone who is going to keep the ship on the right course and make sure that all these films blend.
Right.
Because that's one thing the Marvel franchise does do well, is you don't watch Marvel films and feel like they're not in the same universe. That
True.
are not in the same storyline.
Right.
There is connective tissue there amongst all of them. And what's amazing about that is Marvel has stories that are some down to earth, some that are earthly superhero, some that are literally in space.
Right.
But they do a good job of making it all feel like the same universe.
Yep.
And that's where the sequel trilogy fell short. It does not feel the same.
Agreed. And now, just real quick, I will say that I think the biggest failure of The Force Awakens was killing Han Solo. Okay? In that movie. Go ahead and kill Han Solo. I think it should have happened in the second movie. And I think that's got to do with JJ saying, I'm only going to do one. If he was going to only do one, probably shouldn't have hired JJ, right? That's okay. That's part of it. There's a lot of things we've talked about. I started to go into it earlier in this episode that of things that are we'll say problematic with The Last Jedi, and then recovering from having The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, both starting things that you got to kind of like answer for. Rise of Skywalker, like you said, it was too fast paced at the beginning, at least, well, throughout, and then trying to give the audience answers for stuff they had questions for, and it just made it a jumbled mess, really. So I think, in my opinion, having done it the way they did it, the biggest casualty in all of this, the sequel trilogy, were the new characters, the new Han, Luke, and Leia, right? Poe, Finn, Rey. I mean, it's like, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it a milquetoast type of storyline, whatever. I feel like if they had the OT characters have a more prominent role at the beginning, say half of the trilogy, and the new characters kind of like taking on the mantle as it goes out and setting themselves up for like more movies down the road. And yes, maybe they wouldn't want to do them right away, but maybe they happen like you and I've talked about, 5-10 years from now, That's kind of how I feel it should have been set up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that, I never really thought of it that way, but it does really feel like that. Like, okay, in this one we got to kill this person, in this one we got to kill that person, and in this one we got to kill this person.
Right.
And you're taking away from the growth of your new characters to tell that cleanup story.
Yep.
They really did feel like the only one that didn't feel like 100% cleanup story was Han Solo.
Right.
Like, I'll disagree with you a little bit. I don't feel like Han Solo dying in The Force Awakens was that disruptive. I felt like it was a very good and I'll tell you why I feel this way. It's because of where I thought Kylo Ren was going. I thought killing his father was the cement. He's a bad guy now.
Okay.
And I think if it goes that way...
Yeah, the problem there is that he never really was. Because I know. And that's where, like I said, I disagree with like that. The misstep was him, was Han Solo dying. No, I think it was the misstep was Han Solo dying in the first film. I think it needed to happen in the second. If Kylo's his what do you call it? His back and forth with the dark side was played out a little longer. And
I think the misstep is this desire to have a love story.
Yeah, there's that too.
I don't think the misstep was, killing Han Solo in the first film, because I think if they would have went the way that I suggested that I thought it was going, was okay, that was Kylo Ren's commitment to the dark side.
Okay. I'm going to tell you,
and it was going to be the difference between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy was, here you had in the original trilogy a baddie who was fighting the light side, like trying to prove he's that bad, and one who is doing that in the beginning and then says, no, I'm going full bad.
Right.
You go from a redemption arc to there is no redemption.
Right. So, okay. I'm throwing a potential, a coulda, woulda, shoulda thing out there, right? So let's just say we don't kill Han in the first movie, okay? Mm-hmm. But just for grins, let's say Rey and Han and Chewie do pick up Luke and get him back to the Resistance. And then all the old school fans, that's me. I'm guilty. Okay. We would have had our moment with those three together again. Okay. No matter how much everyone wants to say you didn't need it. Everyone in my shoes would have loved it. Okay. And you'd have had Luke there to witness or be a part of Han dying by Kylo's hand. And then you could have set yourself up for, like, the uncle-nephew fight of the century.
Right. I get what you're saying.
I mean,
but
it's and all of that, in my personal opinion, would have helped to set up these new characters for something more, something bigger, I feel, like I said, I think they are the biggest casualty of this whole thing. All the new characters that we have, their stories are, you look at Finn's character, it's like,
right, wait,
John Boyega.
Just to interject for a second.
Okay.
I feel like by dragging out the OT character arc, you'd have the same effect.
It's not dragging it out. It's
just dragging it out.
No way. Not even. Because it's all playing together, right? You have the new characters there. They are all a part of it too. It's not dragging anything out. I mean, I don't know. It's not dragging anything out. They are a part of that universe. They are all a part of this resistance. I don't know. I feel like sometimes
I just feel like
this desire to just get rid of, let the past die, kill it if you have to. That's all part of it. So, it's the old stuff is bad and whatever we're doing now is good and that's the way it is. Sorry, don't agree. But
I don't disagree with what you're saying right there, but I do think that, like, rewrite, if they would have pushed it to where, you're going to have this reunion and all this, and Luke's got to be there for Han's death. Like, I feel like they would have overdone that, and your new characters would have still suffered.
I disagree.
I
totally disagree.
Saying it based on what I think they would do.
Yeah, but I'm saying it based on my own brain, because I feel with those that kind of like plot line going down, it would have meant more. I mean, Rey knew Han for what, a day and a half? I mean, and she's that upset about losing Han. Well,
I think you can rectify that by just not having her that. But at the same time, look at how upset Luke was about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I get that.
He barely knew the guy.
And we make jokes about that. Leia just lost her whole planet, that's
all J.J. Abrams did. He just made the same thing right there. He wanted Rey all torn up about it because it would be just like Luke being torn up about Ben. And it wasn't as good because, you didn't have someone like Leia who just watched her planet blow up.
Yeah, but
comforting him.
That continued on into The Last Jedi. That's what I'm getting on about. That's the part that gets me. She's crying about Han still in The Last Jedi.
Well, yeah, that's not JJ anymore.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
That was Rian Johnson forcing a love story.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like the baton could have been passed a whole lot smoother. And right now, I don't think we have any idea who would be carrying the baton at this point. Right? I mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no perfect way to do it, right? Like,
No. And we're not looking for perfection, right? But one thing that we did say earlier, and I'm still going to hold to, is yes, we have what we have, and that's what it is. So,
Yep.
yeah.
But based on what we talked about earlier, we could still bitch about it.
Absolutely. You know, we have our opinions, and those will probably never change too drastically from where they are at now. But all good stuff.
I don't see those changing anytime soon.
No.
In fact, I don't see them revisiting this anytime soon.
Right.
But speaking of revisiting,
Yes.
so what's up?
No, nothing. I was going to say this is a story that just keeps on coming. Go ahead.
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk about Patty Jenkins the last couple weeks, because of what appears to be cancellation of Wonder Woman 3.
Yeah.
And you listen to you look at what James Gunn's saying. It doesn't seem like Wonder Woman 3 is necessarily done, but it is. It's been a turbulent couple weeks over at DC, because now it's sounding like the Henry Cavill Superman's off the table.
Aha.
Like there's going to be another DC reset.
Nice. Just what we were hoping for. Not.
No, I don't think they realize that this thing they're doing right now is part of the problem.
Right.
Like, you got to commit to it at least for a little bit, not blast stuff out for a year and a half, then take a hiatus, and then go, I don't know why that didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anywho, in her address about what happened with Wonder Woman 3, Rogue Squadron came up because I will say, when you read articles about how things went with Wonder Woman, they always bring up Rogue Squadron, and they always paint Patty Jenkins in a very, very bad light right now.
Right. Yeah. You hear stuff like what? Like hard to work with and
Hard to work with.
left the project.
Yeah. Left the project. She unbudging.
Right.
So she addressed all that and laid out what happened with Rogue Squadron, why it was delayed, and that it is still on the table.
Right.
So let me parse out the part of her tweet right here that focuses on Rogue Squadron. Okay, she says, I originally left Rogue Squadron after a long and productive development process when it became clear it couldn't happen soon enough, and I did not want to delay Wonder Woman 3 any further. When I did, Lucasfilm asked me to consider coming back to Rogue Squadron after Wonder Woman 3, which I was honored to do, so I agreed. They made a new deal with me. In fact, I am still on it, and that project has been in active development ever since. I don't know if it'll happen or not. We never do until the development process is complete, but I look forward to its potential ahead. So,
Kind of
it
open-ended.
seems Rogue Squadron is not off the table.
Right. Well, it's off their upcoming films list.
Yes.
But that
And
could
that
simply
is obviously because of a delay.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, it could simply be we don't know when this is going to happen. We still want it to happen, but we don't know when, or close to when. But yeah, so
I would like to make one comment on this, though.
Yeah.
Then someone should say that.
I agree. I totally agree. Like anybody, Kathy Kennedy, Pablo Hidalgo, come on out, say, yeah, we're still doing this. It's been delayed. We're not quite sure when it's going to happen, but we are definitely developing this still.
Do we still believe Pablo Hidalgo?
Huh? Believe? Hey,
I said, do we still believe Pablo Hidalgo?
that's why I said even, right?
Okay.
Even him came out and said something. It'd be something, right? Just saying.
I say that in jest.
Of course. Nothing but love from here. That's this is cool. God, months ago, right? We got word that the movie was delayed, and then Patty Jenkins has left the project. She's and I don't know where all this stuff is coming from, because we reported on it like this was all like legit news, but yet here it is out of her mouth. It's like, whoa, this isn't really the way it was going down. So, I'm hard pressed to believe that
like, are they in such a mood right now to keep everything secret that they're keeping secrets that they don't need to keep?
yes,
Is that just where they're at?
yes,
Because this is not something you had. Like, you looked more incompetent by not just saying this.
agreed, absolutely. I mean, Star Wars fans would eat up every little tidbit of news that they put out there. All I gotta say is, no, we're still working on it. The only the only thing that like they've said that about is Rian Johnson's trilogy. No, still gonna happen someday. But they kind of let off of that. But you know what I mean.
This is kind of sounding like Rian Johnson's trilogy right here, but
Exactly.
only because I feel like Rian Johnson's trilogy was handled in this same way.
Yeah.
It was delayed,
Right.
and then mum's the word. Rian
Well-
Johnson says he's still working on it. No one else does.
Exactly. And the thing is,
And I think this is going to happen here. Patty Jenkins is going to say this. Lucasfilm still isn't going to say anything.
right. And why not? I mean, if they wanted to say, you know what, yeah, we're kicking some ideas around, or nope, haven't talked to Patty in months, don't know, one or the other.
Or here comes the press release. Who the hell is Patty Jenkins?
Exactly. That'd be great. But Rogue Squadron getting delayed with everything that we saw about Wonder Woman 3, what was it else? Cleopatra, right?
Cleopatra.
Yeah, so all of that made sense, right? Whereas there have been directors and writers and stuff announced and dropped, and movies announced and dropped with no explanation. So there is something that causes all this to happen. We are not, in the know to know what that is. So,
Well, let's think about it too. What was it? It was just one of the VPs, one of the many VPs over at Lucasfilm,
right.
just stepped down just a couple months back, right? And she was the one that was in charge of like new film development or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So you see that move, then you see that, you're like, and we talked about Bob Iger coming back, right?
right.
And like the mishandling of film with Star Wars,
Yep.
versus how they're handling Disney Plus,
Right.
and and then going out and saying, "Wow, we're losing money." Duh!
Exactly.
You keep putting out, $10 million in episode projects
Yes.
that people are paying $6 a month for.
Right.
Like, duh.
Exactly. Yep. You gotta get people in the theaters at that, whatever it is, $10-12 a pop.
I mean, in all honesty, they just need to be saying, look, we're still scared about how films will perform at the box office in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic.
Right.
And that's why we're losing money. But they're not saying that.
No, if they would just be honest about it, yeah, that would help. And the other thing, yeah, I truly believe if they came up with an excellent Star Wars story, okay, ancillary to what has come before, however it is, starting a new, whatever, quadrilogy, I don't care. If it was an awesome story and they put everything they had into making the film, hyped it up, promoted it, we'd all be there, you know? That's the thing. From this end, we know we'd all be there for it. It would succeed or fail on its own merits, but opening night, we'd be there. You know, they
could have kicked Andor off with a movie, and then like you got this movie that you go to theaters to see, and then you come home and you watch the rest of it on Disney Plus.
Look at the stuff George did. Kicked off the Clone Wars that way. I mean,
yeah, we went and saw a movie.
We went and saw
theaters.
it. Exactly.
And then sat down every week and watched a cartoon.
Exactly.
For what, 7 years?
Yeah. And
6 years.
And it was great.
It's absolutely great.
I don't know. I think.
You know what the best part is? The funny part about all that?
What's that?
Everybody was pissed off at the movie.
So true.
And then proceeded to watch that story for 6 years.
Yes. Well, I mean, okay. I don't know. Pissed off is a little harsh. But
no, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Because I don't remember people being mad about it. They're just like, what? Anakin didn't have an apprentice, you know? But then, you know, they came to learn that, oh, apparently he did. So, you know, but.
Oh, I remember all that. Like, Anakin didn't have an apprentice. Snips, Sky Guy, R2, Stinky. I remember all the complaints.
Yeah, there were complaints. People got over it.
Well, they got over it because the show was great.
Sure.
And they realized that you just got to wait the story out.
Uh-huh.
That's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but I feel like after the Clone Wars movie, there was a lot of negative talk.
Okay. I don't remember that much negative talk. I don't know. Maybe I have a
I think we're just looking in comparison right now.
I think I have a what do you call it? A propensity to remember the positive stuff about Star Wars.
I think it's a perspective thing now, right? Like compared to how negative Star Wars has gotten. Yeah, that wasn't that bad.
True. It's funny. I don't know. I mean, you brought him up, Bob Iger's back. I wonder if, you know, this is part of what he's there for, right? Let's get these ships tightened up here. Let's get some things actually happening.
I mean, even Marvel's just now starting to make it back into theaters.
Right.
You know, so yeah, they got to be feeling that pain.
I would say so, yeah.
Which is funny to say because we really thought that this was the end of theaters as we knew it. Like,
True.
Like the cinema experience as we knew it.
If it's going to be the end, they're going to have to figure out something for this, though, right? They're going to have to, you know, and I even said it, the whole premiering the movie on Disney Plus and having to, what was it, buy it or rent it early or whatever you did.
Right.
Something like that along those lines. I mean, that was maybe that didn't test very well, you know, so they're going to stick with the theaters for now. I don't know.
But here's the thing. They didn't do it with a Star Wars. They didn't do it with a Marvel.
It's true.
You know, they did it with Mulan. They did it, you know, like,
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't feel like you picked the best ones for this.
That's true.
I mean, I'll tell you what, you do it with Star Wars. A lot of people are not going to bat an eye about paying $40.
You know, that's true. That's very true. And I'm wondering how their test here did with, they showed what, the first 3 episodes of Andor on
Network television.
network television, yeah. And I'm sure that was a test bed to see how, you know, can we draw people to Disney Plus that way? And is it going to be, you know, profitable?
And then get ad revenue from those we don't draw to Disney Plus by running it on the network.
True, yeah. So
Maybe the single basket for the eggs is not such a great idea.
good point. Interesting thought, because
And it's Star Wars. Why not consider doing physical?
I was just thinking that. My God, I was just thinking that because I was thinking of my Blu-rays, and it's like, can you even get The Mandalorian or Andor or any of these shows on Blu-ray? And it's like,
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Cannot.
That might not be a bad idea.
It's Star Wars.
Yes.
I mean, a great portion of fandom is going to buy this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't waste your time doing individual season releases, anything like that.
Right.
Do box sets. Right?
Yeah.
And when after you release a new season, do a box set again. We're going to buy it again. We're dumb.
Hey, when it comes to our money and spending it, yes, this is true statement right there. Wow.
But I mean, no, you could do seasons, right?
Sure.
And do a nice box with a behind the scenes color booklet and all this stuff. And people are gonna buy it.
Yep.
It's Star Wars, man. Collectibles is the name of the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah. How many people would buy these box sets and just never crack the cellophane on them? Because you can see them on Disney Plus, right?
Right.
So, but you still want it. It's totally irrational, but it's a thing.
Star Wars collecting is very irrational.
Yes.
Like, just to throw it out there, I have the Force FX Elite Darksaber.
Uh-huh.
What the hell am I going to do with this thing?
I don't know.
I got it. I lit it up a few times. It's probably all that's going to happen with it.
Right.
It's going to sit somewhere where people can see it. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, I mean, you put out stuff we like, we're going to buy it.
Yeah.
It's just what we do.
That is what we do. Well, hopefully.
You know what? You know how you can do it even better?
What's that?
This is a thing of the past. You put it out with a commemorative coin.
Yes, there you go. Yes, that is a thing of the past. And
Dude, Star Wars fans will eat that up.
yep. That's for sure.
Heck, you could do a set of like 1,000 of them and make up for the fact that you have to print this. They're numbered to 1,000, and you can sell them for a ridiculous amount of money. And guess what?
They will sell,
They will sell.
and the secondary market will be huge. That's
And we already know they probably reserve a couple of those just for the secondary market.
yes.
So, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
We really have a knack for saying we're going to do a thing.
Yep.
And then going way off the rails.
That's for sure. Yes, we've been blathering on for quite a while here. Yeah.
Oh, and we I mean, I think we only mentioned twice that it's our 5-year anniversary in
Yeah.
August.
In August, right. That's past that we're acknowledging now. Yeah.
And then bam, rabbit hole.
Right.
Rogue Squadron's still on. Bam, rabbit hole.
It's all right. It works that way.
The Last Jedi. Hey, The Rise of Skywalker, man. Like,
Yep.
squirrel.
Yes.
It's one of the fun things, right? It's one of the fun things about doing this. We never know where we're going.
That's true.
We never know. We could lay out a plan. We don't know. We're along for the ride just
gonna
as
say-
much as you are.
Do we really lay out a plan? Not really.
I mean, kind of. We say, hey, we're going to talk about this, this, and this. All right.
It's more of an outline.
More of an outline. It's more of an outline. And you know what? We should like draw on it. Like put out the outline and then draw. Each time we go to something new, just draw an arrow.
Yep.
It'd be fun to see the graphic.
Oh, yeah.
And then to see the ones come back to it and then go over here to something else.
Right.
Ugh. Like I said, though, like we're along for the ride just as much as you are.
Exactly.
So, but hey, it was fun. It was fun. It's been a fun 5 years.
Yep.
You know, I think we've definitely found our stride now. Well, if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media, at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think we've covered all the thoughts that I had.
You sure?
Yeah, pretty sure.
All right. So unless anything crazy happens, we will see you in 2023.